Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngozi Talk Show. Lead from within. Find your own voice. Over to you, Dean, please. Dee, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. D. Bell Williams. I am the CEO and founder of Dr. D Unlimited LLC, where we are a global consulting firm where we assist multi-potential leaders with business courses as well as curriculum development courses for their business. I'm also a transformational leadership specialist, and so I'm super excited to be here on today to talk about what it looks like, looking into the future, transitioning, and the mindset in which we must have in order to do so. Within my business, that's one of the things that I work with primarily. Before we can build anything new, we must make sure that our mindsets have transitioned to the new so that we can have more clarity as we build, as we focus, and as we launch new programs. And so I'm super excited to be with you all on this afternoon, wherever you are. My time is this morning. I am from the United States. I'm in South Carolina, so it's 8 a.m. my time. So if you are in the UK or in any other place, and it may be evening or afternoon, so I say good afternoon and good evening to you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. D. So our topic today is navigating through our normal pandemic in our homes, families, churches, and communities. So I'm gonna let you explain, why did you choose this topic and what does it mean to you?
Absolutely. So I chose this topic because, again, like I shared before, I'm here in the United States, and we are, navigating through this crisis just like everybody else in the world. Most of us here have, started getting vaccinated. So that we can, see our loved ones, so that we can be around more people, go back into buildings in brick and mortar if you were working in brick and mortar buildings, children and adults going back into the classrooms, and so on and so forth. And so there's still a lot of concern as we move forward into some sense of normality, because it's going to be a different normal. And we've been calling it here our new normal, because we, of course, cannot go back to things that, the way they were before the pandemic, because we've lost a lot, but we've also gained a lot as it relates to understanding how we as the human race can come together and put our minds together, and from different backgrounds, different walks of life, and come up with solutions as it relates to how we're able to live on this big rock we call Earth together, and how we can make it safe, not only for ourselves, but for our children and for their children, because we are preparing now for what the future will look like shortly here, as it relates to those that are coming behind us. And so today is about talking about what that looks like moving forward, because we are all from different countries and different backgrounds. That moving forward may look differently to different people depending, on where they live. And so we're just here to talk today about, what moving forward looks like. How does it feel? What do you project about our future in different industries, in our homes, in our careers, in our ministries, our churches, in our businesses? What is it truly going to look like? And to be honest with you, none of us really truly know. what that will look like. But we can all have hope that whatever it looks like, it will be for the benefit of our lives in the future. And like I said before, for the generation coming behind us.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. D. I think there's so much that has been going on around the world, and I don't know in America. I think in UK, basically when I go out, I don't see as much people as there used to be. I think some people are scared to go out. So and also I know we are transitioned to actually the whatever they call it normal, that we're going back to normality. Yes. So some people are scared, and mostly the old generation, they're scared. And for me personally, I'm okay with it. But I just look at the old generation that if we were to go back to sit down in UK, how are they going to cope? Because the mental health problems has gone up. And in churches, the numbers are very low. Although we are allowed to go back to church, you can see that some people, they're not really comfortable even talking to people, and they just want to keep themselves to themselves. So what would you say to someone who is out there who is scared? I know you're a Christian as well, and you a pastor?
I am a pastor of my marketplace ministry, Dr. D Unlimited. Yes, I am.
Wow, that's amazing. So what advice would you give someone who is out there, people who are afraid of basically getting out, because we are allowed to go out, and then something happens, there's a different virus that comes in. So what advice would you give someone at this moment who are afraid?
I would definitely share first and foremost, regardless of what your background or spiritual belief is to meditate in that space, because of course anxiety and fear, all of those things and all of those emotions are real. They're very real, and they should be acknowledged. So that's an important part of the human process, is being able to acknowledge our emotions, acknowledge our feelings. However, not allowing our feelings to control us, where we're paralyzed from living and paralyzed from really getting the most out of life. So I say definitely, meditate, pray, whatever your respective religion or spiritual practice is, to definitely do that, because we in all things we should be cautious. I think that parameters are, God's way, and from my background, it's God's way of protecting us from the unknown and those unknown dangers that are out there. Because even though we share this world together as mankind, we share this world with several different species, and so there are different parameters that have been placed, on the earth, to ensure that we're all protected in our various spaces. So like I said, pray, lean into that space so that you are guided as it relates to what you should do next, where you should go, where you should be. So definitely that would be the first thing, is to lean into prayer, meditation, whatever your respective beliefs are. The second thing I would do is definitely use precaution. Go places that you feel comfortable going. Don't feel forced to go into churches or going into buildings, going to specific places. And I know that many of our jobs are now starting to open back up. Here in the United States, well, I can't even specifically say the United States, but in certain states within the United States, and I can talk about South Carolina, the governor has mandated that the unemployment offices cease distribution for pandemic funds for those who were out of the job. Well, that's forcing people now to have to go back into spaces that they're not comfortable in, or now having to find places to send their children where they weren't necessarily ready to send them back to brick and mortar schools. And so people are now being forced. And so there's a lot of stress behind, if I go back into the building with or without the vaccine, am I still at risk of contacting this virus? And so there may be people in different parts of the world where, your job may be forcing you to go back into the building. There's still a choice. There's a choice of, I know some people feel like I don't have a choice. I got to work. I got to feed my family. But I always believe that there's a choice, because you have to think about what's truly important to you. Is your mental health more important, to you, or, keeping your family safe more important than actually being forced to go back to a job? So there are different things that you have to think through and think about, but always making the best decision for you and your families. But again, in my life, in my experience, the advice that I am going to give you leans back to number one. The way to make those decisions, the way to make the decision about what's best for you and your family, is to lean into prayer and meditation to find out exactly what road you should definitely take. The third thing that I would say to those who are just, afraid, especially senior population who, feel threatened, is because they have a reason to. Many, unfortunately, those in the senior population already have some pre-existing condition of health issues. And so they feel like, regardless of what's going on with the vaccine, without a vaccine, that I'm putting my life at risk. And I think that is important for those who work in the fields with the elder population, with the senior age population, those businesses, those industries. I believe it's important to just take another look at, how we're caring for that population to ensure that we're providing the best care possible, and have a spirit of empathy for individuals, regardless of whether they're senior, youth, or middle age. Have a spirit of empathy, because people are just afraid, because we're walking into the unknown. And even though things seem to pick back up, like you said, Nomsa, it's slow in a lot of places, and it's okay that it's slow, because people are trying to learn how to live differently. They're trying to learn how to live in a time that they've never experienced or seen before. And so it is important that we have empathy. A friend of mine who's a pastor here in South Carolina, their church have opened back up, and they're in a multicultural church. And she said that they are having issues because there are some people who are okay without wearing a mask, and then there are those who still want to wear the mask. And literally, the church is split, where everyone who wants to wear a mask is sitting on one side, those who don't want to wear a mask is sitting on the other. And it's obvious what culture is moving more closely to not wanting to, that doesn't want to wear a mask, versus those that do, and it's causing havoc in churches. And so again, it leans into having a spirit of empathy and really understanding what people are dealing with, and also leaning into prayer. So that will definitely help in those parameters. And also, we have sayings. I'm from the South of the United States, and I'm a country girl. I was raised on a farm. And so we have sayings that, sort of kind of they pay homage to helping people understand life. And we have a saying in the South that says, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And so what that means is, when you are going back into spaces, whether it's work, whether it's church, whatever, and you are uncomfortable, it is important to express that uncomfortability, to share exactly what you're feeling, so that people know how to, work with you. They know how to engage with you. If you are still afraid of being closer than 6 foot apart, then express that when you go into spaces. Ask people, could you please make sure you stand 6 feet apart? Or, if you want to go into spaces and they're not wearing a mask, you have the choice to wear your own mask to protect yourself. But again, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you're in a place where you're not comfortable, express that in a way, again, that expresses empathy for all, but that so that people understand, how to approach you during these navigating and these times of changing and navigating through this new normal.
Thank you so much, dear. I like it when you say, if you don't feel comfortable, with someone being closer to you or not wearing a mask. You just express how you're feeling, because there is no point in hiding your feelings. I don't know the situation, but in the UK, we all have to wear masks until apparently until the 21st of June. So that is the situation at the moment. So no one gets affected when we go to church. We all have to wear masks, and some people, those who are not comfortable, they still have to go to Zoom, and we have worship. We have to stream via Zoom and YouTube, so they still have that option of watching the church worshiping through Zoom. So I think we have to say thank you to virtual these online platforms, because they've come in handy during tough times. And also the families, like what you're saying, if you're not comfortable meeting people, you are allowed to say, I'm not comfortable with your families. Don't just meet them for the sake of meeting them, just Zoom them. We have loads of platform. Just Zoom them. Use platforms, online platforms, to actually talk to your families. It's not the same, but if you feel that you're not comfortable, I think it's a good idea to actually do that, because there's some elder people who are actually not comfortable in meeting people. They don't go out much, so they don't want these younger stars going out and giving them virus. So it's basically what is normal anyway. Everyone keeps talking about the normal. For me, I'm wondering what is normal. Basically, what is it going to be changed? Is the virus going to go away, or what is normal? What do you think is normal, Dee?
It's just so funny that, we use that word and we have been using it all of our lives, right?
Honestly, yes.
Right. And so now we're like, oh, there's a new normal. Like, what does that look like? And I think normal is just what's comfortable and what's best for each individual. And I think it's important that we don't put everyone in a vacuum as it relates to normal, because we then begin into ostracizing, individuals, ostracizing practices, ostracizing mindsets. We start to say, oh, well, that's normal. Well, maybe to you that's normal, but for someone else, it may not necessarily be normal. So I think that that word is very subjective to what your understanding of normal is. What I think people are looking for is some sense of consistency. Is really what we're looking for. And so over the last year and a half almost, we've had to bounce from, okay, the plague has happened. It has taken over our world. The pandemic is here. We've had to quickly shift from brick and mortar spaces to online platforms only. Then we went to this hybrid aspect of, okay, we're going to do some in person, but then we're going to do mostly online. We're going to have a few people in this space, and we're still going to do some online. And then, like I said, here in the United States, the mask mandate was lifted in May for us in South Carolina, but each state has its own rules and regulations. We've been fully open here in South Carolina, I think, for most of 2021. So far, but other states aren't fully opening back up until June 15th, some in July, so on and so forth. So each state here is different because it's the independent United States of America. So every state is ran by a governor. And so the normality is different depending on what state you're from. But like I said, we're looking for consistency. Are we going to now, as employers and people in businesses, are we going to now look at options of having virtual connections as a part of our consistency? Is this going to now be a part of our new normal, where we have a choice, where our students now don't have to go to brick and mortar schools? They can actually go to online programs, which online schools have always been out there. But I think people are now saying, well, before I didn't think that was a good fit for me, but now since I've done it for a year and a half, I think my new normal can be having my children go to school online. Or, my new normal can be I have a choice to work from home now. You know, there's so many, I've been checking the job market. There's so many remote jobs out there now, working with companies either locally to your country or abroad. Like you can be living in the UK or living in Africa, some part of Africa. You can be in Asia somewhere and still work with companies in the US and vice versa. So people are now saying, hey, we've made it work for a year and a half. This can become a part of our new number. So the consistent aspect is we can now hire people in our brick and mortar buildings, and we can now hire more people we can onboard that can work virtually. So like, again, we're now going to a place of what is our consistent format of living and working. And to be honest with you, I think it's a level of flexibility. I think we're moving into a new normal of flexibility where things are not just black and white. There are areas, spaces of gray that we didn't acknowledge before. They were always there, but we did not acknowledge them. So now we're moving into, we can work in spaces of gray in our families, in our homes. You know, people can travel now. And, you know, whereas one time travel might have been excruciating for the family. The husband may have traveled, 6 months at a time, or the wife may have traveled 3 or 4 or 5 months. And now it's like, we can actually do this. This is a part now of our new normal where people are now becoming more acceptant of the gray areas of our life because we realize we can literally live and operate in those spaces of gray, and we can color them whatever color we want because now we have more options that the world has acknowledged. And so that's what I would say, like the new normal is basically a place of consistency and being able to chart our own courses where, people felt like they were being controlled by careers, by jobs, by family obligations, by church obligations, by whatever. Now we have choices as it relates to how we navigate all those different spaces.
Thank you so much. I like the consistent part where basically we just have to keep doing what we are doing, staying safe and with the jobs. And I think it's a good, basically everything now is going to move to online because like even with the events, there's so many people that are going to do their events online, and it actually saves you money to actually having to hire a place, a venue. So I think some companies, they're going to be doing virtual events now and having intimacy with their audience and stuff. So I think that would be basically like the remote jobs, like what you're talking about, that there's lots of jobs. If you look online, there's lots of jobs in different countries. And I think people that will start, because before people would be like, why do I need a remote job? I think now the companies that gives a remote job, they're going to benefit as well. So everyone, it's a win-win situation. But now we just have to keep maintaining because I think social interaction is very, very important to a human being.
Yeah.
We need that. We do need that to socialize. Humans touch. We need that. Yeah. So I think that's why we're just gonna cry for us to have it, because at the moment it feels like that has been stripped away. Although in UK we can go out and sit outside the restaurants and pubs, and I think there's few numbers people can stay inside, but I think we just need that freedom. We're not there yet to be free. We're not there yet. So we still have to be cautious. So that's what mentally we have to be alert. And that's not good for us because it doesn't feel that the world is ours anymore. But at the same time, we don't have to be scared. We have to embrace that we are here. We don't have to be scared, because I know there are some people who are really, really scared with like, am I going to live? Am I going to survive? But we don't have to live like that. We have to embrace, because like, Gossip Talk Show, the video, it says there are no guarantees for tomorrow. So that means you have to embrace every minute that you have with your life.
Yes.
You have to enjoy that life. And the question that I need to ask you is, how do you feel about, there's lots of basically mixed feelings about the vaccine. There's lots of mixed feelings, honestly. If I go on YouTube, like I'm on before I logged in here, I was checking my WhatsApp. I'm on a Millionaire Mindset business group, and there's about 4 videos about vaccine. There's mixed feelings about the vaccine. So what's your thought on this one regarding the vaccine?
It's interesting that you asked me that. My dad and I were just talking about it again last night because, you know, he and my stepmother and my older family members, all of them have pretty much been vaccinated. And, you know, this is my first time actually talking publicly about, you know, my respective feelings on vaccinations. I think that is important for individuals to always do what's best for them. I think that when we start taking away choice from individuals is when we begin to disrespect the other person's lived experiences and human being experiences. Like, we all have a choice. And it is important to understand that we are in a crisis, but there is still a choice. And so for those who are comfortable taking the vaccine, you know, I you know, do what you feel like is best for you and your family, for your business, for your children, for you know, whatever environment and whatever reasons that you have for taking it. You know, don't feel bad for doing what is best for you. In the same tone, for those who do not want to take the vaccine for whatever reasons they may be, then do what is best for you. There's a choice again in everything, and it's just about understanding what the possible variables would be regarding the choice that you know you decide. And so, of course, if you take the vaccine, you know that's again an agent, you know, foreign agent entering into your body and having to, you know, decide whether or not to do its job. And then if you don't, you know, take the vaccine, of course, then you you know, realize that if there's a possibility you're still at risk for contracting, you know, a virus, you know, if that's possible for your body, because everybody's different. There are some people who are symptomatic, people who are asymptomatic to this particular, you know, pandemic, this disease, coronavirus, COVID-19. And so, and of course, there are different variants that have multiplied out of even the most recent one that we've experienced from the global shutdown. And so it's important to do research. I think it's important to research everything. For those that are still on the fence about the vaccine, do research about, you know, the effects of the vaccine, the side effects of the vaccine, how it could help you, you know, how it could hurt you, you know, because there's always, again, there's a pro and a con to everything. And also for those who don't want to take it, do the research about what you need to do to keep yourself healthy if this is a choice that you do not want to take. But again, it is a choice that individuals have to take as it relates to what they need to do. Some of my friends here have decided to take the vaccine because their work calls for them to travel different places. I have friends that work in law enforcement, friends that work as professors, friends that are lawyers, you know, people who are in the school system as principals and leaders, and they're deciding that, you know, because they're spending so much time around other people, that they decided to take the vaccine. Whereas other people who say, well, I work from home, I don't go anywhere, my children are learning from home, we're not going to take it. Some people, for religious reasons, don't take the vaccine. I think that, you know, in this, you know, this clouded argument or, you know, a discussion about it, I don't think that we take into considerations people's spiritual beliefs and their beliefs about different things according to their lives. And so I think, again, going back to the first question and using some of those pointers is having a spirit of empathy and knowing that people have a choice and they have reasons for making those choices to do that. So it's important to keep that in mind. But, again, we want everyone to be safe, and everybody has a different definition of what safe looks like, because, we've been told what safety is, but many of us have not experienced safety. For example, here in the United States, there are a lot of campaigns for African Americans to get the vaccine because many have decided not to. And one of the reasons why is because there have been horrible historical references as it relates to the effects of vaccines on African Americans. And for one of those is the Tuskegee experiment, where, when we had the syphilis outbreak here in the United States, many African Americans were urged to go get a vaccine and to go, get these different things to help, prevent the disease from spreading in the African American community. And what was happening is they were giving them syphilis and they were giving them different diseases to take back to the communities. Of course, you can decide to be either on the historical reference side of this or the conspiracy theorist side of this, but there is an aspect that this was another attempt to annihilate, the Black culture in the United States. So people are being, African Americans in some pockets of the United States are being very adamant about not taking the vaccine because they are afraid of history repeating itself regarding some of the experiences that we've already experienced in this country. So safety for us is relevant to what you're referring to. Because safe police are supposed to keep all of us safe, but they've been gunning down African Americans consistently in the United States. So in the United States, safety is a word that we have to really understand. In what relevance are you expecting us to understand safety? So there are people who are like, well, when we need laws that protect us. For example, you probably heard about some of the Asian Pacific Islanders who have been harassed during this pandemic because people felt like, well, the virus came from China. And so they started attacking Chinese and those that were from Asia. Well, since all of this has happened and the violence increased, they have already passed legislation that protects Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But African Americans have been in this country over 400 years. And we have experienced violence at, unimaginable degrees. And we still are waiting on legislation to pass that protect our well-being. So safety, again, is relevant to your experience. And so I shared that to say that African Americans have a reason to be concerned about getting a vaccine where this country appears, to have pockets of people and a system that seems to be against them from all angles, from healthcare, from education, from criminal justice system, from every aspect. So it's important that when you're referring to vaccination versus no vaccination is to look at the historicity of the people who are, sharing their concerns about that. And this is not just for the US, but this is in, every country, in our world, every continent on the face of this earth where people have experienced different walks of life and have their reasons for deciding whether to get the vaccine or not get the vaccine.
When you say people have a choice, I think, yes, you're right. People do have a choice. I find that when they say if you don't get a vaccine, there's gonna introduce the passport. I don't know how true that is. Basically, I try to stay away from the politics and social media a lot. I'm always on social media about working, but I try to stay away from the negativity. So I think we have to consider people's choices. They have to consider people's choices as well. You are right when you say people have a choice for religious reasons. Because, when someone believes in something and you want to strip that away from them, it doesn't feel like a choice anymore. So if they do introduce these passports, so that means people who don't feel comfortable in having the vaccine, basically they just gonna have to have it for the sake of or protest, or basically being taken to court, or having to take the government to court, whoever they take to court, so they don't have to be forced. It doesn't have to go that way. So if somebody wants to get sick, if they say, okay, I feel comfortable, I can fight the virus, why forcing them? Because there are no guarantees. For me, basically, I know that although we have the vaccine, but the vaccine, it doesn't mean that we can't have the virus. You can have the virus even though you have the vaccine, but maybe it will not affect, it will not be aggressive as much as somebody who has not had the vaccine, like the flu jab. People have flu jabs and they still get the flu.
Right.
I don't know in your country whether they do get flu jab, but in UK, they do give a flu jab just before winter. People have underlying problems, sicknesses, but it does not stop them getting their flu. They still get it. So if, for me, I just feel like if somebody says, I don't want to have a vaccine, obviously they are choosing whatever will be. They are basically putting their hands in whatever they believe. Like I'm a Christian myself. I have had the vaccine. Basically, my GP, they did call me once and I was really busy and they were like, somebody didn't turn up for the vaccine. Would you like to have some? I was like, yes, sure. Because the reason simply is because I don't know. There's the unknown. I don't know what is going on. I don't know behind the scenes. There's, like spiritually, we believe in God. And some people believe in the universe, but the God that we believe is invisible. So he wouldn't want me putting my life on the line. Maybe the vaccine is the way. Maybe the vaccine is not the way. Do we know? At this moment, no one knows. So basically, that's what I'll say. If somebody don't feel comfortable, because I know everywhere I turn, there's so much protest about don't have the vaccine, don't have the vaccine. They are lying to us. They are doing this. And for me, what I will say is, the pandemic has been very, very challenging around the world.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like it in my life when I actually when the first time when we went on lockdown and hearing other countries announcing going on lockdown, it was something that I was like, the world is really shutting down. But I still have that faith. I still had a hope that, okay, I'm going to follow the guidelines. I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to do whatever I'm being asked to do just to protect myself. And also I'm going to cry out and pray to God and say, please, remember me. Anything you ask in my name, your scripture says anything you ask in my name, I will do it. I'm like, remember me, good health, please protect me from this pandemic. So for me, basically, I'll just say no one knows what is going on, because like in Manchester, there's the Indian virus that is started, but there are some people that refused to have the vaccine. And those people that were called by the doctors to get the vaccine, they refused, and they're now affected. And so that's why I'm saying I have no idea whether we are doing the right thing or not. All I can say is everyone has a choice, like you say. Just follow your heart, follow your religion, whatever that religion might be, because you don't want to please anybody else. If I don't think they'll take people to court, or they'll. I think they're just scaring people, but I don't think you'll go that far, because at this moment things might get better. Who knows?
Right. I think it's also important, like you were saying, to just think about everything holistically, and know like what works for you. For example, for me, I haven't had the flu shot here in probably 12 or 13 years. Every time I got the flu shot, which wasn't that much, I probably only had the flu shot maybe 3 times in my life. And every time I got the flu shot, I got the flu and I got sick really, really bad. when I got my shots for school, like I remember this like yesterday, and I was like 4 or 5 years old. I think I was 4, and I got my shots to go to school, to get prepared, to go to kindergarten and all, and I was sick. I was like sick, like I think like almost deathly ill. And so I stopped getting the flu shot like 13 years ago. And I haven't had the flu in 13 years. I don't get colds. I don't get viruses. I don't. I've been blessed to not have contracted the coronavirus. Um, I've just, and I've traveled since everything has happened. Just precautions and taking care of myself. But also, knowing that there's a possibility of my system rejecting a vaccine for me concerns me, because every time I've gotten a vaccine in my life, I have been sick, like, and so for me, I'm in prayer and meditation about my decision. I have not been vaccinated yet. And I'm in prayer because every time I get vaccinated with something, I get seriously sick. And I am just at the place right now in the last couple of months, I have so many deadlines for work that I don't have time to be sick. And so it's been my choice to stay in prayer and meditation. I serve a God to me, this is my personal belief. So, it hasn't to do with anyone else's choice. But I serve a God who's bigger than any disease. And that because he understands my heart towards it and why, and I work from home, by the way. So I'm out and about only when necessary. And if I have to go places, I take precaution and I do what's best for my system and my body. Now, it's just not completely vulnerable. I am packaged with vitamins and minerals and different things that I utilize to keep myself healthy with or without, a pandemic. So we just in our household, we eat differently, we supplement differently, and we just choose to, believe what we believe instead of putting ourselves at risk. For me specifically, putting myself at risk of being down longer than I need to be. And for some people, they're like, oh, for me it was about a day or two, and I had this happen and I had that happen. I don't want any of that. So, because for me, whatever they dealt with for 2 days, probably multiply that times 3 for me. So it'll be 6 or 7 days before I get up from something. And I know that my system does not tolerate foreign antibodies well. So, I mean, in no shape, form, or fashion, not just from the cold virus, but any type of foreign anything. In my system, it sort of rejects it, and just I haven't really shared at this level of publicity, but it's fine. It's my story. But even to the point of conception, it's challenging for me because when you are intimate with a spouse, those fluids are a foreign agent to your body. And because of that, it's been a challenge for me because my body rejects foreign agents of all types. So it's been challenging. So it's not something I'm saying for myself from a conspiracy perspective. This is my experience in life of what I've had, to deal with. And so, of course, we, now have to take different measures because, we want to conceive, we want to have children. So we just have to do it differently for me because of the way that my body just seriously rejects any type of foreign anything. And so that's why I've made the decision so far that I've made. And it really hasn't been a decision of whether to or not, in the aspects of someone asking me. It's just been a decision of I just absolutely will not, subject to myself to that unless in prayer meditation I am guided to do something different.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. D. I like it when you actually stick to your beliefs, because that's how you feel. So I like people that stick to their beliefs, because if that's what you feel, that I am protected, why not? So you might as well have it, have that. You might as well say, okay, I'm not going to have the vaccine and face the consequences. Like myself, I've had the vaccine. I'm going to have to live with those consequences of having it. What are the consequences? I don't know. So there might be some consequences. So like I always say this to people, that if you want to do something, just do it.
Yes.
And face the consequences after. Because if you say, I'm not going to do it, if that's what you say, you're not going to do it, don't do it. Right. Because that's what you want. That is your choice. Right. So if you do it and then you start saying, I did it because of this, they are not because. You're doing something because you want to do it, or like you want to start your own business. Just do it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Consequences. I always say the consequences, like now we're on Ghost Talk Show, there are consequences. Sometimes somebody may come in and not like what we're talking about. The consequences are they're just gonna comment, but you have to learn how to deal with those consequences. Do you take that as serious? No, you're gonna ignore it, because that's what you are here for. You are here to add value to the audience. We are here to add value to the community. So that's why I say anyone who does not want to have a vaccine, don't have it, because it is your choice. For you not to have that vaccine, if you feel that you want to have it, just have it, because it is your choice. For me, I was like, I was like, okay, maybe this vaccine is good. I know, like what you say, every time I have a flu jab, I get the flu. So I'm like, what is the point of me having flu jab? So I don't bother. So honestly, I get sick when I try to protect something. So I think somehow it is our body telling us we are not meant to actually protect ourselves. Because if we believe what we believe in, what are we protecting ourselves from? So there are no guarantees with the vaccine that it can protect the virus. But I just had it for me because the virus story is a long story. I've had this messed up life with this virus. I don't know whether you've had me talking about it. So I was like, I've had enough of this virus. And for me, basically, I believe that the virus is something spiritually. It might have started maybe in China. They did something, but I think somebody deliberately is spreading it now spiritually. That's what I believe regarding the virus. I'm not saying they are spreading it. The scientists are doing it, but I believe that Lucifer has something to do with it. That's what I believe, because our head, the virus actually it attacks the head. Basically, I had one of my friend's husband. He had it, and he said he felt like I was in hell. He was describing. Honestly, he had it. He said I didn't feel that. He's a nurse. He was like, he felt like I was in hell, being tortured, like for something that I did in the past. And I was like, what are you talking about now? He was like, he felt like I was fighting something. It was never normal sickness. So that's when I was like, maybe it is spiritually, because the head is the symbol of our destiny. Everything happens here. Yeah, everything happens here. So I was like, this is some messed up stuff with this virus. Yeah. So when somebody says that I do have a choice, yes, they do have a choice. And mentally, I think it has affected lots of people. People have been affected around the world mentally because of the lockdown. So I don't know in America, but I think in UK, mentally health problems has gone up a bit. A lot. So For me, I think like in this house, I think it affected our children, the children a lot, because us we were working as normal. I never stopped working. I was going to work. But I think the kids, because they had to be at home, so it affected them a lot. So, and also the activities. I don't know how, if they're children, people who have got children, what advice would you give them? Those who have got kids, D, and struggling because families are different.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a case by case because just like you said, families are different, children are different. And you can have three children in the house and they're three different people. And so what works for one may not work for the other. And you said something key earlier, and that was that we're meant to be social beings. And it starts in our childhood. And it's something that children crave, to be around children their age, to be around, to be out and about, exploring the world, whatever that may look like, because small children are learning sensory and different things of that nature. And so I've actually been very concerned about children born through the pandemic because the age between birth, 6 months to a year, are so critical for the development. The beautiful part about that is they've been able to be at home, and nurtured by mom and dad. However, if mom and dad may or may not be attuned to appropriate development techniques or appropriate, being able to observe a behavior of development, that they may or may not kind of miss some things, being at home. Whereas if they were in daycare or at a school, they would be able to be monitored by, professionals that be able to share some concerns. Now, I think that's going to be a very small percentage of children, but I think for the most part, most parents who had children during the pandemic and being able to stay at home with them has been a greater benefit. So the percentage is going to be larger, and they'll probably be more solid children growing up because they weren't thrown into a daycare at 3 months because mom and dad had to go back to work, but they were able to stay at home and be nurtured appropriately by their family. Whereas children who were of school age, who were looking forward to going to school, like our poor little 5-year-olds, 4 and 5-year-olds, who were looking forward to starting their first year of kindergarten last year, or this past year. It was probably traumatic for them to start a school year and then in the middle of it be ripped out of it, and learning online and learning different modalities. So there probably are some concerns for parents, or children who are learning age, who are in school and they feel like they may be behind. There's so many different programs now that are launching or that have already been out there to help, to fill that gap for parents that may feel like their children have lost learning of some aspects or lost social dynamics of some aspects. So do some good research, reach out to career educational professionals, psychologists, and different people, children psychologists, and different people who are able to give some research based, some profound and proven methods to be able to help you get through. And also, seek therapy as it relates to parental roles, because parents need therapy too, when they're going through challenges with children, especially something we've all never seen before. None of us knew how to navigate as parents through a pandemic. And so it's important to ask for help, seek therapy. Therapy doesn't have to be a curse word, it doesn't have to be a plague or a bad word. Therapy can just simply mean, hey, I need help navigating this particular aspect of my life. That's what I'm coming to therapy for. So as parents, reach out for therapy. Actually take advantage of the benefits of family and friends. Sometimes that's cheap, inexpensive therapy that we get when we reach out to our circle of influence and our circle of help to say, hey, I'm struggling as a stay-at-home parent, trying to work, trying to take care of the children, trying to make sure that they're getting their lesson, different things. I am struggling. I don't know if I've done this right. I've done this for a year and a half, and I just think I've been poor, at it. Do you have any advice? Like, reach out to your friends, your family members, your pastors, or your spiritual leaders. Reach out to people for help so that you don't do this alone. I always tell parents, I'm an educator, by the way, and I always tell parents that it's so important to reach out to other parents, reach out to your network, because you're not the only one dealing with a problem child, or you're not the only one dealing with, a child that may be dealing with learning loss or learning concerns. Like, reach out to your network. So definitely do that. And of course, by all means, pray and meditate and ask the Lord for guidance. Ask, the Spirit for guidance regarding, what you need to do to navigate this space that you've never been in before. So those will be, my advice to parents.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dee. I basically like it when you say seek help. If you are struggling, seek therapy. I choose therapy than going to family members, by the way. Family members scares me off. Honestly, they scare me off. If I confide with any member of my family with a tiny bit of a problem, it becomes a big. They start worrying. They start like very protective, because they're very protective. So I like to go to therapy and say, listen, or to church, speak to my pastor.
Yeah, same. My family, they're wild and off the chain, and they're very protective of me. So I'm the same. I go to my spiritual mentor, and I go to therapy as well. And
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's what I do. I just go to therapy or I go to church, because the church is basically, it's a family. So basically, if you have a friendly church, like my church, they're really, really friendly. So I just go and talk to them. I've not been in that situation where I need to talk to somebody, because my children, my daughter, basically my youngest one, she's 5, she refused to learn online. So I was like, I'll do the teaching then. So what I did was, basically we did offline, and the school tried for me to force her. I was like, I am forcing my daughter. I am not going to be the one that destroys my daughter, because I am a psychologist and I believe in freedom. Somebody don't have to be forced. If she says no to online, it's no. And she was like, she's happy going on Zoom, meeting her friends and chatting and playing around, but learning, because she's 5, she doesn't understand that. I'm used to face, and then I'm being put in front of the computer, so she doesn't understand it. So I was like, okay, it's fine. We can do the learning. So we did the learning offline, and it was fine, because the teachers, they just want to see the proof through the books. So we just did it offline.
right.
So some people might find it really challenging. I know some parents find it really, really challenging. With my daughter, they were basically all day online, taking breaks. He was very, very serious, my older one. So she was fine as well. And also I encourage her to speak to her friends online as well, so she get used to it. So they have been coping a little bit, because no one can say 100% I love talking to people online.
Right.
So that has been the situation in our household. But I would say, if you are struggling mental health problems long term, don't stay at home and getting depressed and say, I'm scared. Just don't be scared with the virus. The virus is just something else. Next year we'll have something else. So don't worry about the coronavirus. Just stay safe. And businesses are being born. Be creative. So be creative. People are learning things, what they can do online. So be creative. Businesses are being really, really born online. So Ngozi Talk Show was born during pandemic. So why not? Just be creative. So any words of encouragement you'd like to leave with our audience?
Sure. As we talk about what the new normal looks like, remember that normal is very subjective. And we are, of course, what we're trying to say is we're looking for what the next level of consistency looks like in our lives. And so as we prepare to shift and transition this year into understanding how to live in a quote unquote, I like to use the term post-pandemic world, where even though diseases are still out there, we're not in a pandemic We're shifting out of pandemic where it's such a panic, and there's so much going on, but we're going more into how do we make this work. And so if you're looking for your next level of consistency, be empathetic towards yourself and towards others. Know that you have a choice in what is being presented to you as it relates to how to move forward from a healthy perspective, from a career perspective, from family. You have a choice in what works best for you and your families. And so I want to encourage you to lean into prayer and meditation. It brings peace to your soul and your spirit. It allows you to think clearly about choices you need to make, and also take advantage and lean into having mental health specialists to work with you. Again, use your family and friends as your safe space if that's what's possible for you, and just take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. And remember, you're not the only one navigating this new normal. We're all doing it together. We've never seen this before. We don't know what the future truly looks like. But what we have an opportunity to do is to paint and put the colors in that we would like to see. And so that's what I would encourage you to do, is to really, on this journey, observe the beauty of this journey. It's a beautiful journey. And we know that based on our beliefs, beautiful things come out of chaos. And so we've all been through and been able to live through a chaos if we're still here and listening. And we've seen the traumatic experience that we've experienced ourselves or we know of through this pandemic. But we're now moving towards the threshold of, seeing life from a different set of lenses. And so taking that beauty, own the process, have empathy, and seek the help that you need, because there is better on the other side of this. So I wanted to encourage you and leave you with those words, and that's it. I love each and every one of you out there listening, and I do mean that from the bottom of my heart. I think we don't have enough love in the world. And so I'm just sending love and positive vibes and prayers out to each of you listening. And I believe that, again, if we work together, we can get through this together.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dee, and thank you so much, Hakan. I can see you've been watching since we started. Everyone has been coming in and coming out. So thank you so much for those who have been watching. And we are here Monday to Friday in Gossip Talk Show. So please, like Dee says, stars are born in chaos. Instead of looking at these tough times as chaotic, just say, what can I contribute to the world?
Yes.
Who knows? There might be something there. Or mental health, take this advice, contact your health services, therapist. There are free therapists. There's hospitals, they offer free therapists, in churches as well. They offer counseling. So we don't have excuses for getting basically mental health problems. Let's try to reduce it by keeping healthy and getting in touch with people if we do need that help. So thank you so much, and live with grace, everyone. See you soon. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.